welcome to Aya's Own podcast. In this episode, I talk about holistic coaching. I'm going to introduce the alignment coaching system that I utilize for my clients. And it utilizes breathwork, qigong, holistic lifestyle coaching, the 6 foundational principles of holistic health, as well as the 7 chakras, and some traditional principles from traditional Chinese medicine. I received a holistic lifestyle coaching through Paul Chek and the Paul Chek Academy. And this episode will give you a lot of information that you can utilize to help you to move forward on your goal, dream, or objective. Let's jump right in with the structuring of this program. So this is really important. This is where we start, is where you look towards what your goal, dream, and purpose is. Is this something that you continually do again and again every day until the vibrational reality of your dream creation is brought into full manifestation? So this process is one of continually orienting and checking in with your heart, your desire, your greatest love of what is your purpose. So it's really important to start with what we want and what will provide us the energy to evolve. In order to gain clarity on our vision, we must continually check in with it, day in and day out, until it becomes more and more clear. Because in order for the unconditional energy of the universe to offer us the opportunity to create our goal or dream, we have to be really clear on what we want. And I mean crystal clear, as best as we can. This means when you're charting out your goal or dream, you want to have clarity on where you're going to live, how much you're going to make, what people do you want to work with, what people do you want to help, how often do you want to work, 9 to 5, 2 days a week, spurts on and multiple months off. Like, the more that you can offer into this intention, the more clarity you'll have about what to look for, and it's going to begin to build. So the encouragement here is always to spend time in the left and right hemisphere. And what I mean by that is do some very linear planning on paper, write it out, which is very orientated towards left brain dominance, and then draw it out, dance it out. What I mean by dance it out is sometimes when I make decisions or when I'm looking for creativity, I'll pose myself a question. What is my purpose? Or do I want to move to Bali or stay in Squamish? And then what I'll do is I'll dance. Yes, I'm moving to Bali. What does that feel like in my body? And then yes, I'm staying in Squamish. What does that feel like in my body? Because I want to check in on all the cells so I can make really good decision making. So by having an embodied practice where I'm sensing and feeling can help to activate the intelligence within me. It isn't so mental. So utilize multiple systems utilizing your left and your right hemisphere. So important to develop your goal or dream because it gives you the energy or motivation to make the changes in your life, to move out of the old patterns and conditioning. It's really important to check in with the dream daily because we want to continually stretch the limitations of what our mind, our current mind, knows as possible. I encountered this a lot as I began and am still creating my dream, is I'm only able to dream within my current mind's limitations, and then a bit beyond. It's like working out. You can work out and there's a limitation of where you've been, and then there's the edge of what's possible by moving just a little bit beyond each day. It's the same thing with dream creation as in working out. We must find that edge and continually push it. Otherwise, we just stay in routine and what the mind thinks is possible. And for myself, it was often to dream a dream and become satisfied with something that wasn't the full potential of what I could be and wanted, but what I knew was possible based on the patterns that I've already shown in my life. So it's important to continually come back and push that edge, even if it's only in the mind's imagination at first. Many people don't even offer themselves the capacity to dream without limitation. And that's important. To come into the state of mind where anything is possible, not limited by finances or constraints on time, children if they're in the mix, whatever it might be, which is a perceived limitation. It's important to be able to exercise the capacity to believe in the pure potential of anything's possible, and as well to ground it into the reality and to qualify the dream and to make real clear steps so that it's not just a fantasy. So this dream creation process is something that is important, especially in the beginning, to begin to sketch out. It's the higher anchoring point. It's the fuel, it's the why that really drives the whole ship here. And then I utilize a number of different principles which are going to help accelerate and align you to that process. So there's the virtues, and these are the embodied practices that you can utilize in each moment that you know will begin to condition your nervous system towards the excellence, towards the success that you want. So I utilize the ones from classical yoga with my own interpretations a bit on them, and that's 5 different principles. So one is purity, and I extend that into body, mind, and spirit. And then equanimity or contentment. I have self-study, self-surrender, and discipline, and I add in devotion as a partner to that. So each and every moment during my day, even if I don't know what to do in terms of dream creation, and those times can come, especially in the early stages, what I can do is I can make sure that I'm embodying those principles because I know they can lead me towards excellence. Each moment there's an opportunity to embody contentment. And this isn't chasing happiness or running away from discomfort. This is embodying that equanimous place in the middle. I know that so long as I'm strengthening these virtues, my capacity to dream is strengthened because it takes a certain amount of personal will to embody these disciplines, this devotional work. And I get the self-esteem, the self-confidence in myself that it is possible to create my reality because I'm creating my reality by directing my focus towards these embodied principles and actualizing them. So this small step allows for the bigger step of my dream to seem much more tangible. So it's important to have those virtues, and of course there are other virtues and values that I practice throughout, but those are my most stable ones that I check in with. You'll notice here that there's a lot of conscious process because this is an ever conscious process, an ever more reaching process to become more conscious and aware, and that's what realizing one's full potential is all about. It is about pulling more of your energy into alignment with something larger than yourself and devoting every cell of your body and being towards that process. So we want alignment on all levels. Another practice and protocol of alignment is the 7 different chakras. Now there's a lot we can go in on the 7 chakras. Just for like a teaser, these chakras are energetic alignment tools. The energy body runs in concert with the physical body. They have a relationship. Different glandular centers are all related to the different chakra systems. 7 major endocrine glands, 7 major chakras. Like a psychophysical component is associated with each energy center. So psychophysical, meaning like mind, concept, belief, structure, related to the physical reality. These are getting into the underlying energetics of our underlying DNA or structuring of what's creating us. The more energetic ties of this individual with the larger energetic system outside of ourselves. So the first chakra located near the base of the spine, the perineum, is associated with our relationship to the earth, our relationship with community, our relationship with the tribe, relationship with fear. So all of these associations we want to be a conscious process. Finances, these are all in the first chakra. Second chakra, about relationships, one-on-one, relationships, emotional, relationships, sexual. This is all related to the second chakra, as well as many emotions that can be held here, such as shame and guilt. Third chakra, very much related to our center of self, our ego, our identity, our self-worth, and our work in the world. Related to our diet and exercise. This is a power center of the personal will. And when it's aligned with the higher wisdom of the heart chakra, chakra 4, we have a lot more of our energy moving towards our evolution. Heart chakra is associated with love and compassion, the giving and receiving relationship, which is so vital in dream creation, because we're giving our most authentic gifts, our love to the world, and we have to be in harmony, in right relationship with the world, ourselves, and everyone in it to be most successful in achieving our potential and our goals and our dreams. Fifth chakra has to do with our communication, our expression, our capacity to speak and know truth. These higher centers allow us to really align ourselves in a beautiful way that is coherent. It gives us a personal sense of honor code when we live in alignment with truths and principles and values. This information is encoded and stored in these energy centers. The sixth center is our higher psychic center, center for aligning dualities as one, a center for organizing the vision, the mind, with clarity and with good command from the top to the bottom. It's associated with the pineal gland, which is the master gland, which coordinates all the other glands below it. When we're aligned at these higher levels, and I'll say at the highest level, the seventh chakra is aligning with the all. When our goal and dream is aligned with the all other centers can receive guidance from that higher center. What that's like is when your goal and dream is of the highest, it is giving and receiving in an alignment with the will of the world, with the higher will of heart. The guidance of your behaviors becomes so much more clear, because in the lower levels, the unconsciousness, the unconscious behaviors, where energy leaks out towards personal sex, personal power, energy can move out of the body in that way. And we give our attention and energy towards those things rather than aligning with something greater than ourselves, in service of ourselves, in service of the higher, where so much of that energy can then be put towards that dream. And there's a natural process of organizing one's time and energy and pleasures in accordance with a greater harmony. Meaning you can still have sex and pleasure and all the things, but they're not in any excess because they're all in balance. Because if you have something so beautiful and so big to develop in yourself, your gifts, and you want to give these to the world, more energy and time needs to be devoted amongst many things in the world that you don't have time to waste falling away into pleasures that aren't serving your highest good, because we have a limited time here in this body, in this form, to develop our gifts and to offer them. So when we're anchored in that higher vision, it's more clear. We'll have something to do at every moment of every day, and we'll feel really good to do those because we will know we're in alignment with our dharma or our purpose. So the chakra alignment, one, we want to make sure all these parts of ourselves, our finances, our relationships, our relationship with self and power, our love, giving and receiving, our capacity to speak truth and express ourselves. We want to make sure that everything's in alignment and conscious. And that may be a lot of the coaching right there, just making these processes that are happening, the way that we distribute our energy in and out in the world, become a conscious process. Next is making sure it's continual alignment and balancing. This is the higher levels of yoga. This isn't the balancing on a tightrope kind of physical balancing. This isn't standing on our head balancing, though the yoga asanas are great for aligning the system, which body and mind are related. This is the balancing of our life and all the energetic ties we have in it. And this is where we're getting at the greater harmony. I also utilize the 6 foundational principles of holistic health from Paul Chek. And these are foundational principles. Just that. These are cornerstones to check in with every single day and make sure that you have in alignment for good health. These principles are your breathing, your drinking, your eating, your sleeping, your thinking, and your moving. I just quickly go through all those. So I'm a clinical breath worker. I teach conscious connected breath work. I teach dozens and dozens of styles of qigong breath work and pranayamas, etc. Because our breath is so foundational to our life force. Our life force is our breath. It is what comes into us in each and every breathing cycle, which offers energy for our system. It comes into us at birth and it leaves us at death. So in each and every moment, we're in a dynamic relationship with this life force energy. It's a conversation between you and the universe. And your fundamental relationship with your breathing process is determining so much about your life. Really everything about your life. Because without it, you have no life here. So changing your relationship with your breath can absolutely change your entire life. How you breathe is how you think and feel. How you're breathing is your relationship with the universe. Are you giving and receiving the breath in equal parts? Are you controlling the breathing? Is there ease and flow in the breathing? Are you breathing into all of your body? Is your breath short and shallow or full and deep? How you breathe is how you live. So by changing the breath and making it a more conscious process, an individual has access to rewire their patterning, because all of our conditioning, our patterning, is encoded in the language of the breath. So by learning to understand your breathing, you will know so much about yourself. Breath is the link between the conscious and the subconscious mind. It allows your awareness to go from out to in, and to know yourself on a very subtle and deep level. Your breathing orchestrates and is tied in with your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, which is the main system that balances the energy use in your body. How you breathe determines how your glandular systems receive energy. So changing your breathing changes your endocrine function, which changes all of your hormonal gland centers. How you breathe determines your immune system. It's related to every system, and I'm just giving some examples here. Because the breath is so vast, and it's so underrated in our society and culture. My teacher used to always say, think about it. How often do you need to eat? Every 3 weeks, people go longer. How often do you need to drink? 3 days? Some people go longer, shorter. How often do you need to breathe? Good luck going 3 minutes. So our breath is powerful. Learning to more consciously breathe, we also learn to direct our intention. If we're having a larger purpose, it's all about our intention. What are we offering? The intention is the thought that comes into manifestation. Thought, word, deed. We have to come at this most fundamental level because our thoughts are always creating our body, our mind, our perception, and our reality. So we have to get at the underlying wiring here. So much of what is preventing us from moving forward towards our goals or dreams is our unconscious actions, which arise from our conditioning. The program patterns in the subconscious that are multi-generational. There's traumas in there, there's unprocessed emotion, there's limitations that have been taught to us from society on what is possible There's poor modeling of what is available, what we've seen. We may not have had mentors who have shown us a beautiful way to live. So we have to continually get in the underlying conditioning that is filtering our perception and open ourselves into the conscious programming, and then offer ourselves what we want to receive. Continually be changing the wiring of our nervous system so that we're bringing forth what we want in, what we're calling in. The breath is the master guide to all of that. And I could talk for a long time about the breath, and I'm going to move on. But if you want to know more about the breath, follow some of my stuff. I've written about all of this stuff in great detail. So let's come down fundamental breath into drinking. I'm just going to touch very shortly on this one. Drink lots of good, clean water. So important to have good, structured, beautiful, clean water. Speak to your water. Give thanks for the water. Not only because we don't ever want to take for granted the blessings that we have, but because the water can store the vibration of your intentions, and this is offered into the system. Paul Chek's recommendation, 0.033 times the number of kilograms you weigh, is about how much water you should be drinking per day. Good, clean water. Not teas, not anything else. Water. Teas are something separate. Keep your water pure and clean. This is going to help every system in your body, just as breathing does. Detoxification, muscles, it's helping the whole system. Food, eating, so important to follow a good diet. Now there's so many different people who espouse many different ways of dieting. I'm not going to go into great detail here. What I will offer is you have to listen to your body. This body, your body, knows what it needs to eat. Building that relationship of checking in, tuning in, you have to take conscious control of all the processes in your life. That means you can't follow a diet and think it's going to work for you. That's why dieting books don't work for everyone. Doesn't matter how great the diet is, how many people it's helped, it might not work for you in your very unique biology. And one way of eating may not work for you 1 week as opposed to the next, or one season as opposed to the next. It's a continual fine-tuning. It takes ever more consciousness. All these processes and practices do. And it's only difficult when you've been doing it unconsciously for so long and you don't have the energy it takes to gather more awareness into your body. The more we go along this journey, the more energy we gain because we realize we've been giving it away to information and sources outside of ourselves. The more that we gather at home, we realize that we have all the information and intelligence within us. You have everything within you that you need. Many people say it. The embodiment of it is much more difficult. And we're learning as a people and society to create more of these values in our society that can help us on our way. Eat consciously, once again, eat with good gratitude. Take your food in, this is very tantra, take it in with the senses. Have an experience with the food. Know the food, enter the center of the food. Experience it and take it in and swallow it. Feel it in your stomach, breathe into it. Feel it not only in your mouth, not only as an experience, but know it. Know it as it moves through your body. There's so much information to be gained from how the food affects you, not just when you eat it, but hours later. Moving on to thinking. Touched a little bit on thinking and how our thoughts help to create our reality, our self-esteem, our self-worth, the stories that we live by. Change your thinking, change the cellular structure of your body. The Biology of Belief is an excellent book for those who want to read more about some of these things. We're always encoding information into our DNA, which is offering the messages that encode the proteins and everything that makes up your whole cellular structure. Your nervous system, your subconscious all responds to what you're saying, so be careful what you speak. Your words are magic, you're casting spells all the time. Once again, this process is becoming ever more conscious. We're always becoming more conscious of what we're saying. What's the vibration? How does that feel in your body? when you say those words? Is it empowering? Is it leading you towards your goal or dream? If all of your energies were already in alignment with your goal or dream, you'd be there and it would be so simple. Everything in life would be aligned and good. Our work is not that for most people. Our work is to gather the energy, the information that we've been offering out to the world. We've been saying things that aren't in alignment. We've been saying things we don't mean. And we want to gather that unconsciousness, gather that and put it in alignment with something greater. Thinking, moving. I love moving. I love to move in dynamic ways. My system needs to move in dynamic ways. I haven't met anyone whose bodies doesn't. How dynamic and how many practices you have and how much time you devote to them really depends on what your work is, what your play is, what you love to do. Most bodies need some degree of harder physical activity, gentler movement like Qigong and yoga, a slower form that's very soothing for the parasympathetic nervous system. Most bodies need strengthening, mobility, flexibility, a capacity to have a controlled practice, and then a free practice. What I mean by that is like a yoga where you're very structured, you're breathing, everything is in alignment, everything is pulled in, maybe towards the center. And then dance, where it's free, it's creative, there's not a structure to it. You can move around the room in any way you want. Because we're a mind and a body, and the body is the mind. So how we treat the body, we treat the mind. So by dancing freely, we create creativity. Creativity becomes installed in the patterns in our nervous system. If you're stuck on a problem in life, you can't figure it out, try dancing. Try moving in a way that'll solve or suit the activities that you're moving into or up against. If you're feeling like you got a lot of work to do, maybe run. Maybe run in a linear pattern, straight, and get your mind and body moving in the way that you want it, so that when you go and do your activities, everything's flowing in a good way. More intelligent movement and more dynamic movement. Fast, slow, all the different ways that a human can move. This is all about finding your potential, remember. The human potential, what is possible with these 4 limbs and moving in all the 6 directions around you, it's phenomenal how many things that a human can do. Look across the planet and all the wonderful things that people do. It's incredible. What can you do? What can your body do? Learning to also move dynamically, we begin to see any stories, patterns, programs in our nervous system about self-judgment. Many people don't feel free to dance. Maybe people don't feel beautiful to move their body because of the conditioning that's in them. So we want to be able to be ever more conscious of our moving and breathing, but also conscious of our mind as it integrates into the body and what comes up. Always conditioning, information that's always going to be most serving for us in our higher dream. You want to be able to have control over your mind, and the body is one of the best places to begin. It's hard to simply control the mind from the mind, but if we go into the body, it becomes a lot easier. Just as it's a lot easier to meditate, if you've been running around moving all day, your body naturally wants to sit and be still. If you're not doing that, you just try to sit and meditate, it can be a lot more difficult. So the body is an excellent tool, it's an excellent vehicle, it's an excellent place to continually come to move energy through the system, so we're not carrying so much tension, so much weight. Final one is sleep. Sleep is absolutely vital. Everyone has a different quota for sleep and how much they need. In general, most people need 7 to 9 hours of good sleep. Good sleep meaning they actually rest fully, meaning the room that they're in has a good temperature, a little cool, it's dark. They have a before-bed routine that allows the nervous system to disengage. Perhaps a meditation routine so that the mind is fully still. Many people's bodies rest, but there's still energy active in the system. They're still worrying about their day and their sleep. So the mind doesn't actually fully deaccelerate, and the mind and the brain is using a lot of energy. So you're not getting a full quality, deep restoration if you're still thinking while you sleep and you wake up and you're still thinking about your worries. So it's very important to develop routines, meditations, practices in your life that can help you to be fully total. If you're going to sleep, then sleep. If you're going to rest, then rest. If you're going to be active, then be active. Learning to live in balance instead of being partial is, once again, it's an ever-learning process. We're always learning to become more conscious, more total in what we do. It's all a function of nervous system mastery, regulating our nervous system. This ebb and flow of yang and yin, of activity and rest. This dynamic balance of masculine and feminine. The more that we move towards our goal or dream, we're going to have to be ever more precise in our capacity to master our energies and to be able to switch on a dime, this dynamic flexibility, to be a father over here, and to be a businessman over here, a lover over here, a fighter over here, whatever the situation calls, the archetypes, whatever is activated, we must be ready and flexible. So all these foundational holistic principles help to keep us there, positive, ready for the action. The final principle I'll talk about is the simple yin and yang, this dynamic balance, this relationship we have with yang and yin, two polarizing forces. So this is the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. You want to have a flexibility, like heart rate variability, which is a dynamic measure of the heart's capacity to be resilient to stress. You want this same thing to be in the nervous system, to be able to take on more stresses and to move that energy through the body instead of letting the stress take over one's life. When we're really stressed, it can lead us into control patterns, habitual behaviors that give us comfort, and then we avoid what's going on. By having a practice, breathwork, qigong, yoga, whatever you do to go out in nature or to find your harmony within, is so important. As you continue to move towards your goal, you'll generally take on more responsibility. More responsibility means to have more organizational control of the system that you're operating. This process is one of becoming ever more evolved. So this dynamic balance of understanding relationship becomes ever more necessary. Yin and yang. There's a yin and yang to everything, all parts of your body. The way in which we handle relationship, this relationship with all of our relations, which is the shortest indigenous prayer. And it's basically saying to all my relations, to everything that I am in relationship to the earth below, to the stars above, to all the people, to myself on all levels, mental, emotional, physical. There's so much that can be fine-tuned in our relationships. Just knowing where we're at in each and every moment is part of the process of becoming more conscious, so that we can be more aware and adjust our behaviors ever more consciously. So I'm going to review that whole thing that I just talked about and give a little conclusion here. Holistic coaching, alignment coaching. We want to make sure that we have this goal, dream, or objective, that we're continually clarifying and aligning to it, because it's coming from a greater source of intelligence than the limitations of our current mind and body. This is stretching for our potential, receiving the guidance, and continually aligning to what is the greatest good that we can offer the world. What are our most authentic gifts? What's our purpose here? What's our legacy? What is our notion of enlightenment or achieving our highest state of consciousness? That's all up there. This provides us the anchoring and the guidance to our behaviors. And this is how we can align our 7 chakras in accordance with this higher will. 7 chakras relate to various different energy centers in our body, which are vehicles, which are places we make connection with our world, the most physical, our relationships and finances, to ourselves, to love, to other concepts and higher realms of light. We want to have embodied virtues. Embodiment is so key here. What are you practicing? Each and every moment, you're practicing something. Let's make it a conscious process, and let's make it in alignment with where we want to go. This will free us from the unconscious behaviors that are causing the karma and the cycles that are keeping us trapped in loops, rather than it continually moving towards and experiencing freedom on all levels. We have 6 foundational principles we want to check in with continually to put our body and mind in optimal health. And then we want to always be assessing our relationships with Yin and Yang, this dynamic balance of polarizing forces, to know them within ourselves and to find harmony in the middle. So this coaching program I offer as multiple weeks or months. What that would look like is determining and developing these over multiple weeks, and then utilizing the practices that I teach, such as conscious connected breath work, yoga asana, breath work, qigong, etc., to continually evolve the system to make you more conscious and aware. As I've spoken about with all these things, it's all about raising our awareness. So we want to have a practice that daily activates the cellular intelligence, that puts more of our mind out of fantasy in the past and the future and into the present moment, where we can more readily, consciously create our reality and more powerfully show up to each and every circumstance, so that we can embody our full potential through these practices over the multiple weeks and months. So we clear a lot of unprocessed emotion. We release the traumas, we release the karmas and the conditioning that have been holding us back. Through these powerful practices, you will have a vehicle for you to utilize and continually evolve yourself, to learn to be your own doctor, your own guide, to be your own light, as the Buddha said before he passed away. It's an honor to teach these practices. So if any of this information is called to you and you feel the call to reach out, then do so. If you want any more information, I have a bunch of things written on these as well as other videos. Blessings on your way.